working for us. The NRCC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I'm Rudy Salas, and I approve this message.
I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 31 years old. It's ridiculous how much the price of insulin has gone up. David Valadao voted against capping insulin at $35.
David Valadao and Washington Republicans are forcing Central Valley families to choose between medicine, food, and gas. Washington Republicans just don't get it.
Diabetes affects your heart, your liver, your eyes. I have to have my insulin.
With violent crime in our communities and the cost of gas, food, and medicine rising, we need a leader in the assembly that we can trust to fight for us, not a quitter like Mark Pazin. While murders in Merced County hit an all-time high, Mark shamefully abandoned his post as sheriff, quitting in the middle of a gang crisis to take a fancy Sacramento political gig. We can't trust a politician like Mark Pazin, who already turned his back on us. The stakes are too high.
Local patients and hospitals are feeling the effect of a statewide nursing shortage. And due to persistent underfunding by the state of California, Fresno State's acclaimed nursing program turns away top nursing candidates when we've needed them the most. By passing Measure E, we can help Fresno State triple the capacity for their nursing program and graduate more nurses to serve right here in our own community. Please join me in voting yes on Measure E.
For Rudy Salas, it's a charmed life. Paid the highest legislative salary in the nation, even as Californians pay the highest gas prices. Given over $80,000 in free gifts and trips. Some were financed by groups pushing a bill that could raise gas prices 73 cents a gallon higher. Salas backed their bill, selling you out. They paid his way, we paid the price. Congressional Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this ad.
Tonight on Bulldog Insider.
Because it looked pretty bleak in the last 2 minutes, to tell you the truth, didn't it? Huh? Go ahead, say it. You can say it.
With 2 minutes to play last night, Fresno State trailed San Diego State by 11 points. The end of the game went like this: touchdown, onside kick, touchdown, interception. And Fresno State won the game. The Rams did not win their game today, but Ronnie Rivers was their starting running back. Lee Steinberg joins us to talk about the upcoming contract negotiations for Aaron Judge and what happened on this day in Bulldog history. Now, KC24's Bulldog Insider, presented by Fashion Furniture.
First of all, did we trick you guys that I was not playing? Was that kind of evident or no? I kind of thought it was obvious that I was playing, but you know what? Worked out, so.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bulldog Insider. Yes, Jake Haener returned last night, as did Evan Williams and Josh Kelly. Fresno State closed practice all week, keeping that a secret. For a while last night, it didn't matter. San Diego State was in complete control of that football game until, all of a sudden, the Bulldogs won. Angelique Martinez joins us now to tell us how that happened.
Andrew, entering halftime, the Aztecs held a 21-10 lead over the Bulldogs. In the second half, Fresno State scored 22 unanswered points to secure the victory and the old oil can. Let's see how they did it. Starting from the third quarter, it's 28-10 SDSU. Jake Haener gets the snap, drops back, lofts it up, and Zane Pope comes down with it in the end zone. Bulldogs bite back and now trail 28-17. On the next Fresno State drive with 10 minutes remaining, Haener's pass intended for Nico Remigio is picked off. Aztecs are taking over. And as quick as they got the ball, they lost it. David Perales comes flying in for the sack. The ball gets popped loose and Johnny Hudson Jr. lands on it. Fresno State offense comes back out on the field, but they can't convert. So Abe Montano comes out for a 28-yard field goal attempt, and it's blocked by the Aztecs. Still 28-17. Next Bulldogs drive, Haener hands it off to Jordan Mims. He muscles his way up the middle for 6 points, and Fresno State goes for 2 now. Jake Haener drops back, hitting Zane Pope wide open in the end zone. Fresno State now trails 28-25 with 1 minute and 9 seconds left on the clock. So the Bulldogs attempt the onside kick, and Zane Pope lands on it. Fresno State gets the ball back with a minute remaining. Now, Jake Haener fires the ball to Nico Remigio up the middle. He escapes a tackle and takes it all the way to the house. Fresno State takes its first lead of the game, 32-28. San Diego State's offense has one last chance as Jalen Maiden airs it out, and it's intercepted by Carlton Johnson, and that's the ball game. Fresno State completes the ultimate comeback and beats SDSU 32-28.
I told a couple of guys there going into the fourth quarter that, you know, this is what great memories are made of right here when we come back. I didn't expect it to be quite like that, but what an exciting game. It's a game these kids will never forget the rest of their life.
As far as finding a way to win, I'm proud of those guys. I'm proud of the way they battled, and you didn't see a single guy on that sideline quit, so it was encouraging to see.
Anything can happen. We showed that tonight, and you just got to have belief throughout the, no matter what the score is, we can always come back, and we did. It felt great.
Fresno State scored 2 touchdowns in 13 seconds to get the win, proving that it's not over until it's over. The Dogs are now 4-4 overall and 3-1 in Mountain West play. Andrew, back to you.
Thanks, Angelique. Time now for our Ultimate Insider, brought to you by Fresno First Bank. We are pleased to be joined by Marcus McMaryion, Dinuba native and Fresno State quarterback in 2017 and 2018. Marcus, touchdown, onside kick, touchdown, interception. What did you think of the way that game ended last night?
I mean, finishes that I've personally ever watched. I mean, the crazy thing for me is looking after the game at the ESPN and kind of showed the projected win and just seeing it about 80%, 95% San Diego State, and then it just drops off right at the end. And it was awesome to see the Dogs kind of pull that off in the fashion that they did.
So, Marcus, Jake Haener returned last night. We had heard rumblings, but no official announcement. Fresno State kept that quiet all week. Now, right before the game is when we found out officially. He said afterwards that at the start of the game, he was a little tight, a little sore. He made a few mistakes. He was sacked 7 times, but he threw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he led his team to a come-from-behind win. Can you please assess the play of Jake Haener last night?
Yeah. The biggest critic of himself. He missed a couple throws here and there, kind of costly ones in the end zone, threw it behind Nico a little bit, kind of threw a pick there. But I mean, as far as having that much time off that he had, and I mean, having him behind center completely changed the dynamic of the offense. So they're just so much more confident with him back there.
A lot of things had to go right in the final 2 minutes for the Bulldogs to pull off that comeback. If Logan Fife was in there at quarterback, does anything change on offense? How do you think the game ends?
It's tough to say. I think as far as what I'm saying with Jake behind center, there's just a different confidence that you could tell the play calling to the players, to the receivers making plays, diving, making catches. I mean, you got guys like Zane Pope, I mean, just having the game of his life, and it was awesome to see a guy like that kind of come through for Jake.
Marcus, because of all those sacks, Fresno State finished the game with -3 rushing yards. When is the last time you saw a number like that from a team that won?
It's been a really long time. And the fact that they came off such a big game with Mims and those guys in the past week before in the run game, putting on such a performance, it was kind of a shock to see that. But again, you have Jake Haener back there. He's throwing the ball 45 times. He's completing over 75% of his throws. I mean, that's going to be a hefty amount of the offense.
Jake Haener, Evan Williams, and Josh Kelly returned last night from injury, but Dante Bull, Trey Watson, and Braylon Lux are now injured. What is the impact of the loss of those 3 players?
It's tough. I want to see guys go down, especially a guy like Dante Bull. I mean, he's been fighting the injury bug, sounds about just about his whole career. I mean, just such a special talent and a big guy like that. And it's tough. I mean, it's definitely the next man up mentality. It seems like it's been this team's motto, just facing adversity. And I think they're developing some skin moving into postseason and potential Mountain West championship.
Curious about your take on this one. What did you think of the look last night, wearing all Navy?
Yeah, on TV, it almost looked like an all-black look. It's definitely I like how they incorporated with the Fright Night, kind of spooky, kind of Halloween. So I think it was a really good for him. I'm surprised Teffer let him pull that one. I always try to get a jersey mix-up when I was there, and he said, get the Rangers to wear alternate uniforms and we'll wear it. So I think he's a bit.
Marcus, we can't let you go without asking you about your friend and former teammate Ronnie Rivers. He got the start today at running back for the Rams. Did he earn himself more playing time in the future?
Yeah, I hope so. He's just a dynamic player. I'm so happy for Ronnie to be able to get that time to start. And I know he had 8 carries, probably didn't get as many yards as he wanted to, but I mean, to get that first one out of his belt and him, he belongs on the field. I'm super excited to see where his career takes off from here.
He's Marcus McMaryion, former Fresno State quarterback. Thanks for the time today, Marcus. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew.
Now let's send it over to Scott Bemis to talk Ronnie Rivers and the Rams.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Andrew. Yeah, Ronnie made his NFL debut 2 weeks ago. He got 1 pass for 14 yards, and the Rams win over the Carolina Panthers. Well, today, the ex-Bulldog not only played again for the Rams, he started. Yeah, Fresno State's career touchdowns leader was on the field for the Rams' first offensive play of the game. Cam Akers is involved in trade rumors, and Darrell Henderson was limited in practice this week, which led to Rivers being elevated from the practice squad. Now, his numbers didn't jump off the page, but he was used in both the run and the pass game, finishing with 21 rushing yards on 8 carries and 15 receiving yards on 4 catches. The Rams lost, though, 31-14 to the Niners. Now, elsewhere in the NFL, it was a day to forget for the Raiders in New Orleans. They were shut out by the Saints 24-0. Devontae Adams only had 1 catch for 3 yards. And Derek Carr, well, he only threw for 101 in this game, the lowest output of his career in a game he didn't leave because of injury. In Dallas, meantime, Deron Bland, 3 tackles in a win over the Bears, while Juju Hughes was impressive in the Lions' close loss to the Dolphins. We already told you what Ronnie did today for the Rams. And look at this, Michael Walker, a team-high 11 tackles for the Falcons, 8 of them solo as they beat the Panthers in overtime. Oh, by the way, tonight, like usual, as part of a new promotion here on Bulldog Insider, I'm wearing some cool kicks provided by the City Stars shoe store. These are the Nike Dunk Low Argons. We've got a couple different shades of blue down there with some white mixed in at the base and on the swoosh. Pretty cool look. Of course, you could win a pair just like these as part of a contest we're calling Check Out Scott Sneaks. City Stars Shoe Store giving away $100 each month towards a new pair of their sneakers. Just head to our website, yourcentralvalley.com, and look for the details on the contest page. And in the meantime, tune into Bulldog Insider each week through the end of Sunday Night Football on NBC to see which pair of City Stars sneakers I'll be wearing that night. Andrew, these have been pretty popular ever since I put them on. People like them. What do you think? Back to you.
I am jealous, Scott. I really like those shoes you're wearing tonight. Up next on the Bulldog Insider, the bidding war for Aaron Judge will begin soon. How much money will be heading his way? We ask an expert, Lee Steinberg. Next.
The fashion furniture experience includes looking at a single sofa in 581 different fabrics and never leaving your home. It's cool. From Abernathy Green to Bobcat Sherbert and everything in between, nobody gives you more options more conveniently than your friends at Fashion. Click on fashionfurnitureco.com. Fashion Furniture. There's nothing like it in all of California. On El Paso across from River Park and online 24/7.
Looks like somebody got in early today. Hey, what's up, Crop? We love Jalen. Kid could have gone anywhere in the country, stayed right here in the valley. Ain't that right, Crop? Where'd you go? Jeez. I knew J5 was quick, but dang.
Yeah. Wait. You're banking with who?
They don't bank local.
Here's the deal. I stay local, so you should bank local. Beautiful. Let's get started.
Some days your body is a temple, and some days the temple wants sugar. You might relieve stress naturally on Monday and plan for it on Tuesday. Because being human isn't always so fries or salad. Sometimes it's both. So relax with essential oils or a glass of Cab. Fall asleep with melatonin and wake up to caffeine. With traditional medicine and alternative remedies, there's no wrong way to treat life at Rite Aid. And now, get your flu shot and updated COVID-19 booster with easy scheduling plus walk-ins available daily.
Here's why doctors, nurses, and patients
urge you to vote no on Prop 29.
29 would shut down dialysis clinics throughout California that my patients rely on for regular treatment,
risking my patients' lives
and the lives of 80,000 other dialysis patients.
Join the American Nurses Association California
and the California Medical Association.
Stop the dangerous dialysis proposition. vote no on 29.
Please vote no.
It's our pleasure right now to be joined by Lee Steinberg, longtime sports agent who over a 40-year career has represented some of the biggest athletes on the planet. Right now, Aaron Judge is one of those big athletes on the planet, both literally and figuratively. Financially, Lee, what is he worth this offseason? 62 home runs, a .311 batting average. What is he worth this offseason?
So first you look at comparables, who's he like, and what are they making? And the truth is, there are no comparable because he was a competitor for the Triple Crown. He did it on a team that won 100 games. And so that starts as a player, he's top. Then you have the fact that he's going to be a free agent. And free agency always amplifies in competitive bidding what a player will get. Next, you have the fact he's a huge box office draw because he's those monumental home runs in the home run race, and he's someone people will pay money to come see. So what is he about to get? The biggest contract in the history of baseball, maybe the biggest contract in the history of sports all over.
What would you ask for if you were his agent?
So you take the biggest contract, which I think was Mike Trout in the 40s, and you build off of that. He has no character issues. He's been a great citizen and exemplary. So signing him to a long-term contract is not something that people fear. So it's going to be about the amount of years guaranteed that he gets. No one has been in a better bargaining position in years.
Lee, you've been at those negotiating tables. What happens behind the closed doors?
So there's no discussion or debate about what kind of player he is. That's a given. So then the only question is, what's that worth? There's been a pushback in baseball against signing players to long-term contracts because often they don't turn out well. They're paying a player based on past productivity rather than a realistic projection, how they'll perform when they're in their late 30s. But in this case, you can't take the chance of losing him.
What is the market out there for Aaron Judge? I mean, we keep hearing the Giants are serious contenders, but what teams can afford to pay him what he will command?
First of all, if you're not sold out and you've got the ability to sell more seats, you have to factor that in because he is a attraction. To see someone that big and strong pound those home runs out, he's an attraction. So you can make money by selling more seats with him. The only fear people have is of this luxury tax.
So how do you see this all playing out?
I think that when free agency begins, that before that he will have had a number of different discussions with the Yankees who can talk to him, and they may very well have worked a contract out. But he's more valuable for the Yankees than anyone else because they have the time and relationship with the fan base.
Lee Steinberg, thanks so much for the time today. We certainly appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Up next on the Bulldog Insider, what happened on this day in Bulldog history? That's next.
This is the most popular selling piece of furniture in Fresno. But so is this. This and all of these. Recliners with all kinds of leathers, fabrics, and features. Power recliners, lay flat recliners, vibrating and heating recliners. Recliners that don't even look like recliners. Small, medium, big boy recliners. It's like an ocean of recliners inside Fresno's favorite furniture store. Fashion Furniture. There's nothing like it in all of California. On El Paso, across from River Park.
Imagine having a cushy six-figure salary and not doing your job. That's politician Rudy Salas. Salas has skipped over 400 votes in the legislature. The Jobs Committee he sits on, Salas skipped nearly 60% of those meetings. Worse, Salas skipped a vote that would have lowered our gas prices. We're paying him a six-figure salary for that? Rudy Salas is just not working for us. The NRCC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I'm Adam Gray, and I approve this message. John Dwordy doesn't live here and hasn't done a thing to lower gas prices. I voted to stop the tax on diesel for tractors and trucks, and I wrote the bill to suspend the gas tax. I took on Sacramento to protect our water and our jobs. That's why Valley sheriffs and local newspapers support me. I'm the independent Democrat for Congress.
Midland Tractor has a history of partnering with local growers, creating successes as rich as the valley soil. We bring the latest technology to our customers and provide on-site training and startup with the promise to stay until your equipment is performing as it should. Midland Tractor guides and supports through sales and unmatched service from the ground up. We've been committed to grower success for over 40 years. Thanks to you, our story continues. Midland Tractor Equipment Solutions, guaranteed.
Fresno's Classic Rock, 95.7 The Fox, New Rock, 104.1, K-Jewel, 99.3, 50,000 watt 940 KYNO. And introducing Fresno's Classic Country, The Legend, 105.5. 5 locally owned radio stations with over 350,000 weekly listeners. Be local, listen local. And when your business is ready to spread the word, we'll be ready to share your story. Learn more at oneputtbroadcasting.com.
Ksee 24 News is brought to you in part by Central Floor Supply.
Welcome back to the Bulldog Insider. 2004 was a good year for the Fresno State football team. The Bulldogs were 9-3, and they ended the year on a 6-game winning streak. That winning streak began with a blowout over SMU, the first shutout of the Pat Hill era. It happened on this day in Bulldog history. Brought to you by Midland Tractor. The date was October 30th, 2004. The place, Bulldog Stadium. Fresno State was on a 3-game losing streak, its longest losing streak in 6 years. But on homecoming, the Bulldogs took care of SMU 42-0. SMU came into the game with a record of 1-6. By halftime, the Mustangs were down 35-0. Quarterback Paul Pinniger threw 2 touchdown passes in the first half. He had 3 total in the game. Bryson Sumlin had 2 rushing touchdowns, both from 1 yard out. The win for the Bulldogs was their first shutout win in 8 years, since 1996 against Hawaii. That was Jim Sweeney's last season, and SMU joined Conference USA the next season, so that game in 2004 was the last time Fresno State and SMU played until the 2012 Hawaii Bowl. The Mustangs won that one. We'll be right back.
Until now, only Mother Nature made wood look so good. Solid American hardwood bedrooms. Choose your style, choose your finish from Artisan and Post. Made right here in the USA since 1919 by over 600 Virginia artisans. Solid American hardwood bedrooms by Artisan and Post. Sold exclusively in Fresno at Fashion Furniture on El Paso across from River Park.
What no one tells you about addiction is that getting sober is the easy part. Recovery is the continuous goal. It's continuous healing. At First Steps Recovery, it wasn't just about getting sober. It was about the aftercare, job placement, and getting involved with the community. Now my family and I are active in the First Steps Recovery Aftercare program. It's safe to say that the team at First Steps Recovery didn't just save my life, they transformed it.
If you or a loved one needs help recovering from addiction, call First Steps Recovery today and take the first step.
I'm Rudy Salas, and I approve this message.
I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 31 years old. It's ridiculous how much the price of insulin has gone up. David Valadao voted against capping insulin at $35.
David Valadao and Washington Republicans are forcing Central Valley families to choose between medicine, food, and gas. Washington Republicans just don't get it.
Diabetes affects your heart, your liver, your eyes. I have to have my insulin.
I'm Rudy Salas, and I approve this message.
I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 31 years old. It's ridiculous how much the price of insulin has gone up. David Valadao voted against capping insulin at $35.
David Valadao and Washington Republicans are forcing Central Valley families to choose between medicine, food, and gas. Washington Republicans just don't get it.
Diabetes affects your heart, your liver, your eyes. I have to have my insulin.
I am sick of politicians failing to keep us safe. I will always ensure violent criminals serve their full sentences. Unlike Mark Pazin, who let an accused double murderer go free and accidentally released a convicted sex offender, with crime on the rise, I secured nearly $2 billion for law enforcement. Mark cut officers, then quit his job as sheriff to take a cushy Sacramento political gig. I will never quit on keeping your family and our community safe.
Celebrating our men and women of service, the Veterans Motorcycle Run, November 5th.
Welcome back to the Bulldog Insider. Time now for our Play of the Week. It's brought to you by Camarena Health. And for that, we go back to last night. The interception that sealed the win for the Bulldogs. It was Carlton Johnson who picked off the pass. He's a junior defensive back who was playing in his first career game as a Bulldog. He was injured over the summer. Our tweet of the week, also from yesterday, the win probability for San Diego State with 4.5 minutes to play was 98.2%. We'll be right back.
Today, buying drugs is as easy as sending a text or ordering online. And while not every illegal drug sold is laced with a deadly amount of fentanyl, there's only one terrifying way to find out. Parents, please talk to your kids about the dangers of fentanyl-laced drugs before it's too late.
I'm Rudy Salas, and I approve this message.
I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 31 years old. It's ridiculous how much the price of insulin has gone up. David Valadao voted against capping insulin at $35.
David Valadao and Washington Republicans are forcing Central Valley families to choose between medicine, food, and gas. Washington Republicans just don't get it.
Diabetes affects your heart, your liver, your eyes. I have to have my insulin.
To protect Valley families, State Senator Melissa Hurtado took on her own party, fighting against the early release of violent criminals. She's working across party lines to increase funding for local law enforcement and crack down on human traffickers. Now, as the Valley faces a fentanyl crisis, Hurtado is working to prevent overdoses and save lives. Endorsed by California's police chiefs and first responders, State Senator Melissa Hurtado. She's all Valley.
I'm Rudy Salas, and I approve this message.
I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 31 years old. It's ridiculous how much the price of insulin has gone up. David Valadao voted against capping insulin at $35.
David Valadao and Washington Republicans are forcing Central Valley families to choose between medicine, food, and gas. Washington Republicans just don't get it.
Diabetes affects your heart, your liver, your eyes. I have to have my insulin.
Vote November 8th and follow Ksee 24, your local election headquarters.
A reminder, you can always watch segments from the show online at yourcentralvalley.com. Whether you missed them the first time or like them so much you want to watch them again, the website is yourcentralvalley.com. So Fresno State's next game is next Saturday, this coming Saturday, of course, against Hawaii. Jake Haener is 0-2 against Hawaii. The Bulldogs played Hawaii in 2020 with Jake Haener at quarterback. That was during the COVID-shortened season, so no fans were at that game. It was the first game of that season at Bulldog Stadium. We actually broadcasted it here on Ksee 24. And then last year, Fresno State went to the Hawaiian Islands and lost that game. So you know Jake Haener and company want to beat Hawaii on Saturday. For what it's worth, Fresno State is favored by 23.5 points. Yeah, that's it for us. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next Sunday. Good night.
Calling urgent care in 3, 2. Not everything that's urgent is an emergency. From owies to wowies, Urgent Care by Camarena Health is fast, convenient, and available, serving 3 locations. We are community. We are family. We are health.
With violent crime in our communities and the cost of gas, food, and medicine rising, we need a leader in the assembly that we can trust to fight for us, not a quitter like Mark Pazin. While murders in Merced County hit an all-time high, Mark shamefully abandoned his post as sheriff, quitting in the middle of a gang crisis to take a fancy Sacramento political gig. We can't trust a politician like Mark Pazin, who already turned his back on us. The stakes are too high.
I'm Rudy Salas, and I approve this message.
I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 31 years old. It's ridiculous how much the price of insulin has gone up. David Valadao voted against capping insulin at $35.
David Valadao and Washington Republicans are forcing Central Valley families to choose between medicine, food, and gas. Washington Republicans just don't get it.
Diabetes affects your heart, your liver, your eyes. I have to have my insulin.
Ghost Golf is Fresno's most spectacular family entertainment center. It's frightening how much fun you'll have on our 18-hole indoor haunted graveyard course. Skeletons welcome you, but watch out. All sorts of creatures may come to life. Ghost Golf is perfect for scary good parties, so book yours today. You'll get free plays at the Mummy Shooting Gallery, arcades, and air hockey. Check out our party and weekday specials online and like us on Facebook. Come play at family-friendly Ghost Golf. Yeah! Good times will haunt you.
Your health matters to you and to Ksee 24. Every month, I'll remind you to call your buddy for self-exams. Go to yourcentralvalley.com and download the